By and large, robots exist to do good things. That's usually what we build them for. They vacuum our floors, they work on assembly lines, and they even play fetch with our dogs. But there's one area where robots span the full spectrum, and in addition to doing good, they also get unnervingly close to being evil and taking over the world. I'm talking, of course, about military robots. I'm Drew Prindle, and this is Robots Everywhere, a show where we chronicle the slow but steady takeover of our future robot overlords, and show you how they're making their way into practically every facet of modern life. So, military robots are a tricky thing because on the one hand, they support military efforts and reduce the need for human soldiers to put their lives on the line. But on the other hand, robots that can autonomously kill people are definitely a really bad idea. Do we want a hostile robot takeover? Because that's how we get a hostile robot takeover. I'm pretty sure "don't give them guns and free will" is the message behind just about every sci-fi robot movie ever made. Except for maybe like WALL-E. The good news is that luckily, the vast majority of military robots aren't made for killing people. Instead, many are designed to help soldiers out and prevent them from getting killed. An excellent example of this comes from iRobot. And no, I'm not talking about that early 2000s movie where Will Smith fights against a humanoid machine that looks freakishly similar to that guy who played the angry bank owner in The Dark Knight. The iRobot I'm talking about is the company that makes Roombas. Believe it or not, that company actually got its start developing robots for the military back in the 1990s, and it built this one called the PackBot, which is still used by the military today and is capable of doing all kinds of amazing things. One great use is bomb disposal. Let's say soldiers come across some kind of explosive ordnance, and instead of sending in shaky hand Sam with a pair of wire cutters and hoping for the best, they can just drive one of these robots over to either pick up the explosive and move it, or just blow it up while the human operators watch from a safe distance. That's just the tip of the iceberg though. Depending on what kind of instruments you put on it, PackBot can also be used for things like search and rescue, hazmat detection, hauling supplies so that soldiers don't have to pack them, which, based on its name, I think may have been the original purpose. There's even one version that can detect where snipers are hiding by analyzing where the sound of their shot came from. And that's all with just one robot. There are thousands of others out there right now fighting alongside troops. Another good example? The Modular Advanced Armed Robotic System, or MARS robot. This monster packs a bit more punch than the PackBot. It's designed to carry guns, grenade launchers, and pretty much any other weapon that you want it to hold. I mean, that's the point of being modular. You can put on whatever you want. These robots and others like them are basically like RC cars that can shoot stuff. They're remotely operated and controlled by humans that decide when to pull the trigger, so there's very little chance that the robot could go rogue. But that's the thing, not all military robots work like this and function like weaponized RC cars. In recent years, as artificial intelligence has started making its way into the battlefield, military robots have become capable of doing more and more things without any human intervention whatsoever. Take the now infamous Predator drone, for example. This flying robotic beast can do almost everything autonomously. It can take off, land, acquire targets, track them, and prepare to engage. The only thing it can't do by itself is fire, which still has to be done by a human operator. But importantly, the only reason that last step, actually pulling the trigger, has to be done by a human isn't because of some kind of technical limitation. It could do it if we allowed it to. A human has to pull the trigger because fully autonomous lethal machines are prohibited by the Geneva Convention. So it's not technology that's holding the Predator drone back from being a self-driving murder plane, it's rules. But unfortunately, the rules of war aren't always upheld because, after all, it's war. You can use whatever the hell you want. Guns, robots, a dog turd and a wrist rocket. The rules of war don't really hold up if there's no impactful way to enforce them. And for that reason, the number of highly autonomous military robots in development is on the rise. Just to give you a few examples, the US Navy recently deployed the Sea Hunter, an autonomous surface ship that's specifically designed to hunt and kill enemy submarines, all without a single human on board ever. This thing was almost certainly developed in response to military robot advances in other countries, like Russia's Poseidon drone, for example, which is a nuclear-armed, nuclear-powered, and totally autonomous submarine/torpedo of doom. There's a similar arms race happening in the air as well. The US is currently developing a bunch of autonomous fighter jets, like Boeing's Loyal Wingman, a jet that's primarily designed to fly alongside human pilots and offer support, but is also capable of flying and fighting all by itself, or in totally unmanned swarms of up to 16 drones. It's almost exactly like that awful Jamie Foxx movie Stealth, but without the box office flop. This, of course, comes in the wake of news that China and Russia, the world's other military superpowers, are working on autonomous fighters, missiles, and drones of their own. So, whether we like it or not, fully autonomous military robots are already here, and more are coming. In the next few years, military robots will very likely become a common sight on the battlefield, simply because the world's most powerful militaries are actively engaged in an autonomous arms race. And arms races tend to escalate quickly. But hey, maybe one day we'll reach a point where it's exclusively robots doing the fighting, and us humans can just stay out of it. So when it comes to warfare, maybe it wouldn't be such a bad thing to have robots everywhere.